Well, good morning again, and it's really wonderful to be back with you here at Watch Hill Chapel, where each week you welcome into the pews visitors and visiting clergy into the pulpit. It's no small thing and a sign of your particular gift of hospitality that you manage this revolving door of clergy with such grace. I will say, though, that you do have a slight advantage in that, for the most part, you know who is going to show up and when, so you can prepare for their arrival. Because for me, there is nothing that triggers anxiety quite like people dropping by my home unannounced. There's that unexpected knock on the door, followed by those gut-churning words, "We were just in the neighborhood and thought we'd drop by." It's not that I don't enjoy having friends over, it's just that, well, our home isn't always in the neat and tidy condition I would want to welcome guests. So as our visitors come through the door, I frantically fluff pillows and stash piles of papers and hide the unfolded laundry. But the thing is, our guests didn't stop by to watch me tidy up. They came to spend time with us, so when I'm preoccupied with how the place looks, I completely miss the moment of welcoming them. In fact, hospitality is a core Christian value that we see throughout the Bible, and not just welcoming our friends, but welcoming strangers as well. Hospitality was an essential part of an ancient culture, and when travel was difficult and it could be really perilous, people on the road needed to depend on the kindness and hospitality of strangers. Our readings this morning have a lot to say about this question of hospitality, with Abraham and Sarah being the quintessential examples of gracious hosts. Abraham sees three strangers showing up unexpectedly, and unlike me, he runs out to greet them. He welcomes them into his home, at first modestly offering them just rest in the shade and a little morsel of bread. But Abraham doesn't stop there. He orders a magnificent feast to be prepared for them with a fattened calf, curds, and milk. And Abraham's generous hospitality goes above and beyond his guests' ordinary expectations. And in fact, it rises to meet the extraordinary and seemingly impossible blessing that was about to be bestowed on him and his wife. That at the ages of 90 and 100, they would have a son. In offering such extravagant abundance to these unexpected strangers, Abraham and Sarah could not possibly have imagined the extravagant blessing they would receive in return. The story of Abraham and Sarah's hospitality was foundational for Jews and was recalled centuries later by Christians in the letter to the Hebrews, which instructs the community, quote, "Do not neglect to show hospitality to the stranger, for by doing that some have entertained angels without knowing it." Martha and Mary, on the other hand, seem to know at least a little something about their guest. Jesus and his disciples are on their way to Jerusalem when Martha welcomes them into her home. And although the passage focuses on the three principal figures, Martha, Mary, and Jesus, there was most likely a very large group of people to be housed and fed as Jesus and his mass of followers arrived in town. So Martha's home was probably a household of considerable size and significant resources, where Martha held authority. Luke tells us that as her sister Mary sat at Jesus' feet listening to what he was saying, Martha was distracted by her many tasks. But when we envision Martha not so much fussing alone in the kitchen, but arranging a meal for 70-plus guests, her complaint to Jesus takes on a different tone. Now, if you've got a cell phone in your pocket, you know a thing or two about what it means to be distracted. But Martha's state of mind here in this story was more than just being distracted. The Greek word used here suggests that her mind was in a confused and anxious uproar, that she was completely overwhelmed. Basically, she lost it. And who can blame her with dozens of guests suddenly descending upon her household, expecting to be fed? So in a fit of pique, she went to her guest, the one to whom she was supposed to be showing hospitality, to demand that he intervene in a family dispute. Martha wasn't just distracted. She was at the end of her rope. And maybe we know a thing or two about that as well. But what has often been interpreted as Jesus' reprimand of Martha is actually a gentle reassurance that she too may put her anxieties aside and join her sister in listening to his words. Martha has also done the good thing in welcoming Jesus into her home. But now that he's there, what he wants from her is not an elaborate meal, but her attention to the nourishment that he offers. The practice of hospitality has always been a fundamental concern of our faith. In the ancient world, hospitality was even shown to enemies and to those of whom one might be afraid. Jesus exhorted his disciples to count on hospitality as they went 2 by 2 out into the world and to be hospitable in return. But in recent times, hospitality has taken a back seat to other ethical concerns, and today, especially, there's tension around how hospitality should be practiced. Despite what I said earlier, I am open to having friends drop by unexpectedly. But if someone rings my bell and I don't recognize them, I won't open the door. And then there's the problem of mass tourism in cities like Barcelona, which puts the local population under such pressure that they've taken to shooting tourists with water guns. Meanwhile, the hospitality business connects high-quality hospitality with a strong bottom line, where hospitality is less a gift and more a transaction. And all across the globe, migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers are on the move, raising questions about how we are to respond to those in need in an ethical and compassionate way. What does it mean to be a good host in today's world? Now, people of goodwill may disagree on the best way to deal with these pressing issues of our day, but the ancient call to love and compassion remains the same. And although at times it may feel impossible, we can meet each other with the same tenderness and grace with which Jesus meets Martha. There's a sign posted in front of my church, St. Bart's in New York City, that reads, "All guests who present themselves are to be welcomed as Christ." These words are from the rule of St. Benedict, and they form the basis of welcome to anyone who comes through our door. And I suspect they form the basis of welcome here as well. The welcome we strive to extend is not just ours, but the welcome we understand God extends to all. Abraham and Sarah, Martha and Mary teach us that hospitality isn't just about keeping a tidy home or offering a tasty morsel. True hospitality means putting the guest at the center of the table. It means putting your own cares and concerns aside. It means paying attention to someone else's needs instead of our own. It means being fully present to friends and strangers alike. True hospitality is a sacred act because when we open our hearts to others, we open our hearts to God.